Ladies, gentlemen, welcome back. And today we have Avalon weapon tier list. We've now obviously got all our set bonuses, our crafted bonuses. It's been a little bit of time, so I think it's about time we rank the weapons and see who's on top of the list, who's S tier, and who is fallen behind. See where things have changed from Nightfall. There's been a few changes. Surprisingly, there's quite a few weapons that I feel like have moved up this list. Now, before we get started, this is my opinion. You'll have a different opinion. This is just from my experience in battles. You might have a very different experience. I play a dual blade. That means certain classes might be harder for me than you, and vice versa. So this is on my experience, but it'll be a generalization. Things go top. There's obvious tops, and there might be a top that is higher than you would put it. But it's just my opinion. So just keep that in mind, like always. So let's get in to making this list. Okay, let's get into this. We are going to kick it off with an Nodachi that obviously has had some really good runes this season. These boys are speedy now. They're speedy. They will run you around the pitch. They're in my estimation, and this is me, they've gone up. Last time in Nightfall, they were a B, and I'm going to move Nodachi up to an A. Nodachi is doing good. I feel like it's doing a lot better than it did before. I think mainly down to the speed boost with the runes, but they've become a bit of a force. There's a few Nodachis out there, and you know who you are, that are just live lords. They'll go they've been fighting like 3 heroes. They're impossible to kill. And I think they probably still have the same issue with, like, obviously when shields come into it, and they probably get bashed. You know, they can't really get through that shield. But overall, I think that speed boost has made them like a solid contender against heroes, and obviously against anything that doesn't have a shield. They just heal off them. In certain situations, Nodachis are actually like you're worse off if you have say like a Demise Pikeman or a unit without a shield. You're worse off bringing that into combat versus an Nodachi, because they will just, as soon as you get them low, they'll start killing your unit just to leech some health back and then kill you. So in certain situations, it's just impossible to kill them. But I feel like they've deserved a rank up from B to A for this season, just because the runes are good. And on a rumor mill, I hear they're getting a buff as well. So I don't know if that's true, but I saw it in my Discord. Someone said they're getting a buff, so I'm just going to take that as a rumor, but it could be coming at some point. Now, moving on to Glaive. Glaive, I see a few of them. I never really have too much of a problem with Glaives. I think I've seen a lot more of them using heated battle to push people off. That's been interesting. It's definitely changed up a style of opening on a Glaive. But yeah, I think I'm going to put Glaive in B. It's not bad at all, and that's what I'll say about all these weapons is, well, 99% of them, or 90% of them. B doesn't mean it's bad. It's still get clapped by them a lot. It's just where I think they're going. I think obviously they're good, but I'm gonna put that in B. It could be an A. It'd be a loose A up here for me, but I'm gonna put it in B. I think it's I think a lot of things like the Nodachi and things have been given some decent runes, and it has moved them up quite a bit. Of course, with Nodachi, you've got the buff as well. So if you're going very troop heavy, maybe using Shenjis or something like that, and you're popping out your buff when you throw your grenades, then then super strong, and we could put it up here. But in general, I'm going to pop it in B. Moving on to short sword. I've been seeing a few more short swords, although I still think, in my opinion, the long sword takes the cake in terms of full tankiness, usefulness, damage, the lot. I don't know why. I feel short swords, their damage just feels low. It feels low, even though I'm a light armor. I can take a few hits from a short sword before I die. Like, there's a lot of things in here that can pretty much two-shot me, but a short sword I never seem to have any sort of issue with. But obviously usefulness, you got the belly flop, you got the sitting on points, but I feel like if you're playing a short sword, you might as well play a long sword, is what I've kind of got from it. But I have been seeing a few more of them. So, yeah, obviously people are enjoying it, and the runes I think the runes are okay this season. I didn't really pay much attention to them, but yeah, never really have a problem with them. But I'm gonna put them in B. I'm putting B. Not bad, and if you like short sword, then great. B is not bad at all. Moving on, we have Pike. Now, Pike's always been a tricky one. It's always been a really tricky one for me because Pike is like so dependent on who's playing it. And I mean, you can say that with all of these, but Pike seems to have an especially high skill cap. If you're a good Pike, you're quite easy to beat. If you're like a god tier Pike and you've just played Pike and it's like, yeah, you know the ins and outs of it, then it can be an absolute nightmare to kill. Because, yeah, if you just can't get close to them, they've always got that knockdown ready to go. When you're actually doing the combinations properly and, animation cancelling when you're flicking backwards, they can be a nightmare. So with that in mind, I'm going to put Pike in A for that reason. But if you're not that good at Pike and you're just spamming one button to do like the strike and not actually combining into what you need at that moment, then it would probably drop down this list. But I'm going to put it in A. Pop it in A. Now, moving on to bow. Bow, or long bow as we call it. I know it's called bow in game, but there's a short bow, so I'm going to call this long bow because it actually has range. That is going in D. It hasn't moved. It's going to stay in D because it's basically, there's so many shields running around. Yeah, you might be able to pop at a few archers, but even then there's like tercios and Kriegsrats. You can't one-shot them. You have to fire a few arrows at them. I mean, if you use like lightning bolt or something, of course you can kill a few of them. But with your auto attacks, it takes quite a while. And by that point, if someone sees one Kriegsrat die, they're just going to move them into cover. It can be a rough game. I know some players out there use it all the time and just challenging themselves. So good for you. But overall, I think the bow, a lot of weapons need this, but I think the bow needs a rework into something a bit more sustainable. Right, moving on to my class, dual blades. Now, dual blades are put in B at the start of Nightfall. This is moved up. Dual blades got a good old buff. Our shuriken is now on a 4-second cooldown, and it goes 25% further than it used to. That is pretty strong. I mean, I can't say I fully agree with the way dual blades has gone these days. Obviously I still love it. It's great, but it's used to be an assassin and now it's an AoE class essentially, with catching people out of place. But dual blades is strong. It is strong this season. Our runes are the same. They haven't changed, so it's not down to the runes. They actually got a physical, like an actual buff, and I think they got 5% penetration or something like that, damage buff as well. So dual blades, and this is not me being biased, is S tier. It's gone from being a B tier to an S tier in my eyes. It's very strong. It's very strong. But it can be killed. You can still kill it. Once you know what a dual blade is doing, the best thing to do is learn what dual blades do. And once you know what they're going to open with you and what they're going to do, you can actually beat them pretty easily. Like, dual blades, you take so much damage. So as long as you can land something, and basically, if you want to beat a dual blade, just wait until they've used their vapors. If you see them do the flip back and then try and re-engage with you, if you get them on the ground after that, you've killed them. It's just waiting out their chemical vapors. That is, when they do the backflip. When that's gone, you pin them to the ground or do anything to them, stagger them. They don't have a way to escape. So unless they run off they're so squishy that if you do the right thing, you can probably kill them. But nonetheless, the buff has increased them. in my eyes, to S tier. I was thinking about A, but actually I think the amount of dual blades I've seen at the moment, and yeah, I'm obviously with playing dual blades, I can see it's become a lot stronger than it was. And that brings us Chain Dart. Chain Dart is also going in S, but it's a big debate which one is better. I think they both bring different things to the table. I would actually say that Chain Dart is probably a better assassin than Dual Blades is now. Dual Blades is a front sounds weird to say, a frontline fighter, because you're spamming your shurikens. Also pretty good at going around and obviously hunting for people's archers, because you can go invisible, then throw at them, go invisible, move places, throw at them, and do that. That's if you do it properly, you can wipe a full stack. But in terms of Chain Dart's still got the blink. You blink, you die. You can like lock someone down and kill them in a few hits. That is some horribly high damage. And especially if you're a Chain Dart and you get on anybody that's wearing light armor, if you do your rotation properly, bang, they're dead. You can land it so easily. And obviously, because you have your choke, you have that very short cooldown choke. With how many jabs are about at the moment, if you combine that choke with a jab throw, like how I do with dual blades when I used Mark for Death, and you Mark for Death them and throw your jabs at them, you can do the same, but on a much lower cooldown with Chain Dart. That's very strong if you use it properly. So yeah, Chain Dart's going there, but it's a debate which one's stronger. But I think yeah, it's kind of a personal preference. And then we move on to Musket. Musket is a difficult one. Again, it's kind of how you play it. And obviously, when we're in Tier 3 lock, boom, she's an S tier in Tier 3 lock. But when we start going out of there, Tier 4, yeah, utility-wise, I think it's pretty good. And a good Musket is very strong and can help the team a lot. But I've noticed a bit of a decline in muskets, so I'm actually going to put it down in B. Last season I put it in A. I'm going to put it in B, but I'm actually going to put it a higher B. It's going to probably go there, I'd say. Yeah, I just haven't seen as many during this tier. Obviously now everything's unlocked, but that's a bit of a shaky one, because it could be A very easily with the right person, but in general I'm gonna go for a B. Right, moving on to this one, short bow. Now short bow we put in a C last season, and maybe I'll release a video. I said I wouldn't release a video on something that you can do on short bow that makes it ridiculous, like crazy, almost broken. You can like bring someone down to about 20% health in 4 shots. It's crazy, but it takes a lot of commitment to short bow to do it. That means you need the full epic schematic set, and then you can make short bow crazy good. So with that in mind, I put it in a C last time, but the runes have obviously been pretty good this season. For them, especially if you combine them with the short bow set. But not everyone's going to have the full epic schematic short bow set, so I'm going to put short bow in B, keeping in mind that some people might have it and some people, obviously a lot of people won't. But I might release a video on that potentially. If you want me to, leave it in the comments. If you want me to show you the short bow, sort of almost one shot. But I'm going to put it in B. I mean, if what the epic schematic set does was kind of normal, wearing like a rogue set, wearing a normal light set, then it would be an S tier, because it's crazy strong against killing hero. Actually, no, probably A tier, because it's got not that much value against units, but it would be somewhere here. But because not a lot of people have that, and we're talking about epic schematic sets, I'm going to put it in B, but it's definitely risen from C to B. So, yeah. Poleaxe, of course, doesn't move. She stays right here. Heavy armor, lockdown, ridiculous amounts of health and defense. They've got a rune that I think they've had for a while now, that obviously you're roaming around and your health is increasing. I think it gains you another 3,000 health. Doesn't sound like much, but when you have 1,000 defense or whatever it is, then it's quite a lot. So yeah, Poleaxe, it will probably never move from being S tier because it's because it's just strong. It's just a strong brawler up front, knocking people over, disrupting. Very synergizes so well with like men at arms, any sort of unit that you can press the front line with. Yeah, really, really strong. Highly advised. Moving on, longsword. We're gonna go S tier as well. I was against a longsword the other day. Funny enough, he had the legendary longsword attire, and he was wearing. I think he was wearing the epic schematic set as well, but I've faced ones without that. But he was unkillable. There could have been 2 of me, and I wouldn't have been able to kill him. And there was 4 of us on him, and we couldn't. See if I can find the clip. I might see if I can put it in here. If not, I haven't been able to find the VOD. But yeah, he was unkillable to the point where it took 5 people to take him down, and yeah, basically caused us to lose a ranked game because he could drag so many of us away to kill him. Stupidly, we shouldn't have followed him to kill him. There was no one left on the field to actually defend the points. So it's really strong. It was so tanky. Incredible play by that guy. So yeah, longsword S tier, and we're gonna get next. We're gonna go for the spear. Spear. I'm moving spear to C. I've seen a few more spears around, but again, still lackluster. Still a lot of animation locks. They got a rune that helps them a little bit on the horse, gives them an extra 10% damage, I think it is. But again, it just needs a little bit of a rework, I feel, to really bring it back up. They removed some things from it back in the day, like the kick used to get you up from a knockdown or get you up from a daze or concuss. I don't know why that was ever removed from them, because that was like that was really huge for them, because that means they could have launch march to get them out of concuss and stuns, and then they could get out of concuss with their kick, their spear kick. So it's a shame they got rid of that back in the day. But let's see. Moved up from D. It's only because I've seen more and I got killed by a few good ones. And again, if you're good, and if you like a spear, don't take this list as a, oh, I shouldn't play that, I don't play that. I saw a guy kind of like, oh, I wish I'd have seen this, like a new player. He was like, I wish I'd have seen this list before I chose to be a spear. I was like, no, if you're enjoying spear, be a spear. You can still do things, it's fine. This is just kind of meta more than anything. So yeah, don't take it as one of those sort of, oh, you should never play any of this or this or this, you should only play these. No, play what you enjoy. This is just me ranking them as in where they are currently in the game. Anyway, on to the last one, and can anyone guess where this will go? Maybe a D? No, of course, it's a Maul. It goes an S. It's where it's always going to go until something changes. Spin to win. Obviously immune to being stunned in spin to win. Crushes through everything. With the men-at-arms meta, having a Maul is super important. They can, as long as they don't get run into, like, in that 9-second window with the mastery that insta charges you. If that's off, Maul comes in, spin to win, hit. Kind of the biggest crusher of men-at-arms shields that you can do. So they will always be number one. Very strong, tanky, the lot. Yeah, that's just the way it goes. They're heavy armor, and they can break shields. Though obviously we're in a bit of a shield meta at the moment. So there they are. So that's the list, guys. That is the list, gentlemen. There's a few that I'm pondering. The glaive and the glaive and the short sword maybe could be moved up to S. Not S, sorry, A. They're the ones, especially the glaive, I'm like, could go A, and the short sword actually could go A, but you know what, I'm going to stick with what I've done, but those are the two that I'm a bit iffy with. Everything else I'm pretty happy with for Avalon. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this, guys. If you like this sort of content, I'd really appreciate the sub. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.